What's up, everybody? I'm over on the test server, and we're going to take a look at Xenomorph. Now, I've seen a lot of players who are pretty hyped about this champion. I hope to not rain on parades, but I think he's good for like early mid-game, which maybe a lot of you. But if you're late game, I don't really see much use for him at all, to be honest. Now, if you're in that early mid-game stage where you're pushing through hard mode stage dungeons, you're working on clan boss, working on your 1-key Ultra Nightmare, he has some ways to help you progress, but I'm going to be honest, the core to the team isn't going to include him. For example, if you're running an unkillable clan boss team, the core is the man-eaters. The champion you put in that last spot doesn't really matter that much. A lot of them are going to be able to get you to that 1-key, possibly 2-key range just by having a champion in there. Xenomorph is going to do good damage, but without having like a poison explosion or significant damage from his A2 and A3 ability, it's going to be difficult to make him the star of the show. Wixwell teams, he's going to be the star of the show. Xenomorph isn't going to be doing that much different than a different champion. You're still going to get the 1-key there. Now, with that said, if you're somebody who was using Kale in your clan boss, Xenomorph is going to be a massive upgrade. If you're using Frozen Banshee, once again, Xenomorph is going to be a massive upgrade. Now, that is going to come with a potential downside as well. If you've ever had a champion placing tons of poisons on the clan boss, you may notice that sometimes you overlap the decreased defense and weaken if you're using that as well. Now, Xenomorph does have a defense reduction by 20% if the target is under a poison debuff placed by this champion, which is great, but you're potentially going to be overlapping and preventing decreased defense and weaken being placed on the clan boss because he is placing 3 poisons, assuming you're critting from this A1 ability, more poisons from the passive, a 50% chance of placing it if the boss crits on him, which isn't great either, to be honest. It books up to a 50% chance, but basically, be mindful, if you're going to throw him into clan boss, you are losing out on possibly that decreased defense and weaken. Now, that is a bit of the negative side. I want to be positive on this champion. So what's the positives about him? Well, he is going to be good for progression. If you have the free champion Mikey, we just recently got him, they're going to pair pretty well because Xenomorph brings a unique debuff to only him. It's a brand new debuff, Infest. What Infest is going to do is it's going to deal 50% of the target's max HP to everybody on their death. Now, the downside to this is on full auto, it's not going to work very well. I'm going to show you all at manual. You got Infest, Mikey right here. You can spread this, which is the awesome part of it, and everybody has Infest. Now, if we end up going in and killing this Venus, we may be able to see some good damage come from that. In just a moment, let's see. Mikey's built okay. I really don't want him to get hit. Another downside, but typical with attack-based nukers or damage dealers in general is they're going to be squishy. But check out how much damage this deals. So we dealt 263,000 damage to everybody. That's good. That's why it's going to be helpful for mid-game players. You could essentially have him in there. You don't really need a debuff spread champion. Him by himself, place the Infest. You can clear the waves a bit quicker and maybe free up some room for another support champion. And when you get to the boss, Dragon is very weak to poisons. Poisons are amazing versus the dragon, so he's going to do excellent. Could he solo the dragon? Yeah, sure. Of course he could solo the dragon. But then again, most champions, it seems like, who have multiple poisons on their skills can solo the dragon with good gear. I could show you all the build, but to be honest, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for most players to have Xenomorph trying to solo the dragon or showing that, because majority of champions with this many poisons in their kit can solo the dragon. Now, with that said, you will get Xenomorph at a 5-star soul. That is huge. Any champion on your account, especially as a mid-game player, that you can have a 5-star soul, throw a brimstone on them, that is going to be massive for Amius, massive for dungeons in general. That alone is completely worth having a free champion that's viable in content. And he is. He is viable for progression especially. I think he's going to be very strong for that. Having the fear, AoE from the A2 ability, the stun as well, placing the multiple poisons on the dragon, just turn off his A2 and his A3, get to the dragon, and of course, if you have a support champion there, things are going to go great. But the issue with it being on full auto is Xenomorph will start off with his A3 for some reason, not a huge deal, but then he does the A2 ability, which is good. You can change that in the presets. But Mikey, he's not going to attack the target with Infest. he's going to spread it on a different champion. If he would target the champion with Infest, that'd be awesome, but he's not. Not a huge deal because, like I said, even without that, just take a look at, let's say you're using a champion now. Crocad probably won't be on an account if you're newer, but Crocad does bring a weaken, which should boost the damage dealt by Infest. Not 100% sure, to be honest, but let's see. Weaken does just increase damage by 25%. Now, he's going to do quite a bit anyways, so if you were to have a champion like Crocad in your team, then now you're going to be clearing waves much quicker. Let's use this Savage preset here and throw him in and see how this plays out. So pairing him with just one other damage dealer, you should be able to clear the waves fairly quick, at least quicker than before. Let's see how this works. We get weaken on everybody. Now we'll go ahead and try to kill this target as soon as possible. Crocad should do it. And then, okay, he doesn't do it, unfortunately, not just yet. We'll go ahead and do it now. Okay, and now maybe. And there we go. Okay, we did more damage because the weaken just clears the waves. Right there. That is his main thing, okay? Being able to speed up wave clearing time, potentially significantly, is the place he shines. Now, do you need him doing a lot of damage for that? Not really. You could have just okay gear on him. Like right now, I have him in a Relentless set. This is viable for him. I had him in a Lifesteal set. That's a very viable set as well for that mid-game progression type stuff. You go crit rate gloves. He does okay damage, but it's single target. You probably have your better gear on your AoE damage dealers, and I definitely would recommend that as well. He has the defense drop, basically, whenever a poison is placed by him on an enemy. He doesn't have any AoE attacks, so he's not going to have a ton of poisons everywhere. But having that weaken out there, if you have a way to bring weaken consistently, that's actually going to be probably just the way to go. You may or may not have Lydia, depending on where you are as far as progression goes. But let's just say, hey, we're going to throw Lydia in here because actually, Mikage. Just somebody to place weaken AoE. Whatever champion you have that can do that is the way to go. And then let's say you had some champion with a hard single target ability. Let's do this. Lazarius would be a good, easy way for you guys to see this. A bit better than Siegfried. So we're going to just do increase attack. We're going to swap forms with her. We're going to go ahead and place weaken on everybody. Lazarius should be able to kill the Venus. He's going to have quite a bit on him. Got Relentless. Get some poisons up there as well. Some defense ignore. Plus the weaken. We go ahead and reduce this. And then boom. Boom. I guess he's naked. I don't know what's happening there. But hey, maybe you have a weak damage dealer like me apparently. Eventually, whenever we get through, obviously we can throw him in some better gear as well. But let's see. Here we go. And then enough damage to basically kill everybody. You get the point. If we had Xenomorph in some harder hitting gear, let's see what he would do. Could he just drop the waves more or less by himself? Let's see. I don't even have a relic on him just yet. We'll jump into the relics and the masteries, all that in just a moment. But let's swap him over into a 6-piece Merciless set. This would be a good set to work towards. Now, you don't have to build him with accuracy because his A2 ability does not need accuracy if he is under Veil, which he should be. He has Veil there. He has Veil from this ability. So he's got a lot of ways to place Veil on himself. Now, his A1 ability does need accuracy, which I think is kind of unfortunate when they basically say, hey, your champion doesn't need accuracy on this ability or this ability conditionally, but their A1 ability where they're placing all their poisons basically does need accuracy. So if you're going to go for poisons, you do need accuracy anyways. Now this, if you have him as your only damage dealer, let's see how this plays out. No spread, nothing like that. We'll go ahead and just place the weaken out there, and then we'll just infest. Let's go ahead and infest. Obviously, you'd want to target the champion with the highest max HP, but it's not going to work on auto. So let's just put it on Chogger. He has a weaken. It's probably going to boost the damage from this weaken and then boost the damage on everybody else anyways. I'm not really sure how that would work, actually. Either way, we're going to see if we can just get him to drop this Chogger pretty quickly. No increased attack. He's not hitting that hard. Granted, he's not built like insanely well either. But maybe that's where you're at in your account. Who knows? But there's a 3-turn duration, so we have time to kill him. And if we had other damage dealers, it'd be even quicker, of course. And we're boosting our damage a lot from this A3. Plus, he's not booked whatsoever. We kill him, and then the rest of the wave is pretty solid. Now, typically, that A2 ability would have gone on somebody else. We would have had multiple infests out there. We kill one infest, it goes to somebody else, and you get the point. Your wave clear becomes easier. You get to the bosses, and you can have more flexibility in the other champions you're bringing. That's Dragon, though. How much are you struggling with Dragon? I have no clue. Depends all on where your account's at. So if we take a look at this A2 ability, you are going to, when fully booked, have extra 30% damage, cooldown reduction by 1, and you also get the benefit of 50% HP plus 50% turn meter whenever an enemy under Infest debuff dies. That's a really cool additional effect. How often it's going to proc, I don't really know, but it is a cool additional effect to have. The stun plus the true fear are great debuff combinations. We have the A3, solid decent damage, nothing crazy. It's all single target stuff anyways, and we have some extra defense ignored there. As far as relics, we have several options. You have the typical cat's gaze. I would not do that. There's much better options. You have nature's, whatever it's called, the Arethi Coronet, the one that boosts your damage based on the debuffs you've placed, basically like Nature's Wrath, but as a relic. That's a very strong one there as well. You could go for the Perched Shadow. If your A2 and A3 are on cooldown, his A1 has a chance to get him extra turns. It's a nice one as well. And then Arachne Elixir. Now, the thing with Arachne Elixir is it is very good in PvP if you're running it alongside Lethal Dose. I would not do this, though, because Lethal Dose is great on Calvalax and Nell. Xenomorph, it's good if you can get it off here, but you do need accuracy, and you also have to take a turn. It's only on one champion as well. You have to take a hit to get the poisons off here. So he has a lot of poisons for PvE content where it's just one boss, but in the arena, you're just not going to be placing very many poisons. I mean, it's just going to be very difficult to. So stacking Lethal Dose plus Arachne Elixir isn't going to do that much. And in PvE content, so wave content, whatever it may be, Arachne Elixir is going to add minimal damage compared to what it adds when you stack it on top of that 200% potential boost from Lethal Dose. Now, if I was to throw a relic on him, let's say we wanted to do where something that's going to give me extra damage, anything with crit damage and attack, those are the stats you're looking for. All that stuff's going to be great. Now, I don't want to do that. That's a little bit crazy. Crown of Corruption is a bit more than he actually needs. My cat's gazes are taken. If I hit equipped, it's just going to like glitch the thing out. For some reason, it does that on the test server. I don't know why, but things just get really weird. Of course, Malefic Talon is going to be good. We'll go with this one. +9, pretty simple. More damage based on their turn meter. I wouldn't expect to give him my best relics possible. For his blessings, you have a few options. I don't think he's a PvP champion at all. He's a single target champion. I'll show you guys his damage in the arena. We'll push him a little bit more to his limits, but I don't recommend Lightning Cage. He's not in PvP. I would say not even necessarily Cruelty. Cruelty is okay if you're going against like a clan boss and things like that. I would say the best is going to be Brimstone for the PvE content that he's in. So Brimstone, 5-star blessing, very strong there, especially as a free champion. Brimstone's going to be excellent, but you could even potentially go for Nature's Wrath. Nature's Wrath is another good one. Boosts his damage based on the amount of debuffs that he's placed. But for majority of players, this is just going to be the thing to go. As far as his masteries, if you're progressing through the game, War Master is really going to be where you want to sit. If you get a little bit later, a little bit stronger gear, going into Helm Smasher, when you actually have more crit damage, is better. Usually about 225 plus is when Helm Smasher makes more sense, but you can kind of tell based on the boss you're doing. If War Master is proccing for way more than you're hitting for, War Master just may be the way to go. It's those red numbers that pop up as well. I would be picking up basically these masteries. You could have Life Drinker if you wanted. Extra speed is good. More accuracy. You could have the turn meter boost if they have a debuff drop off of them, or if you have a buff drop off of you. Not so good if you're doing a speed tuned team though. This is fine for him. And then these two, of course, Poisons, Infest, you want those extended. You want to reap those benefits as long as you can. As far as the books, I wouldn't book him initially. I would be kind of slow for it. He does have only damage multipliers on his books. There's no chance to land debuffs being effective whatsoever. That's great. But if you're going to use him as a damage dealer, you may want to book that. But I think a lot of players, on the passive, there is some buff and debuff modifiers, But in general, if you're a mid-game player, if you look at a champion like Michelangelo, he has buff and debuff chance adjustments. This is really what makes your runs consistent or not. And with Xenomorph, there's chances are you have better damage dealers. Maybe you don't. Maybe he's your best one. And maybe you just give him the books. But let's jump in here real quick and give him a soul. We'll give him a 5-star soul because that's what everybody's going to get for free. And then I will put him in the 6-piece Merciless set. And then I will throw on Brimstone. It's not going to do anything for boosting his damage necessarily. We have this, which is good. His stats are 319, 265. He's looking quite a bit better now. And then, you know what? Let's go ahead and just book him up. We'll go ahead and book him up fully because I want to compare his damage to some other single target damage dealers. All right, so I mentioned that I don't think he's much of a PvP champion at all, just that he doesn't do a ton of damage from his single target abilities. AoE is typically needed for PvP anyways, or having a very strong single target skill. But we're going to try him in comparison to Raph, another single target champion I could think of. We're going to target the Venus here. Xeno's A2 hits for 68,000. We're going to see it here, 68,000. His A3 hits for 33 and 30, so 60,000. So he basically hit for the same amount of damage on both. I reset his masteries, and then let's go for the A1. So 60,000 on both of those, and then his A1 hit for 40 with some poisons as well, so a bit more damage. So 40, 60, 60. We can see that Xeno has no masteries. He has this Relic. And then Raph, let's compare their stats real quick. So Xenomorph, 6100, 319. He has pretty low base attack. And then let's throw the same stuff or similar gear over to Raphael real quick. He has no Relic whatsoever. This just be a quick comparison. Obviously, he's going to have a lot more attack. Let's actually just drop this ring. This is a good ring. And let's give him a shot. So exact same team setup, same lineup, everything. Let's see what he does. We have 90,000 there, which is already better. That's without his Berserk even included. So it's what, 30% better than Xeno, and he has no Relic. The A2, it's AoE, which is what I'm talking about. Tons of damage everywhere, 194. And then his A1 ability, what's it hitting for? Same as Xenomorph's. Granted, Raph's has a lot of other stuff. TMNT collab stuff, has block revive. Basically, Xenomorph, I don't see him bringing enough damage to be viable anywhere just because of his damage. Like, he's not doing that much. And multipliers, they're okay, but he's more of a support type with a bit of extra damage sprinkled in. What I mean by that is he's bringing good poisons for the clan boss, a lot of damage there. The Infest is going to bring significant speeding up for the waves when you kill the champions, and this drop in their defense when the poisons are applied is going to help stuff as well. For example, if I come in here, give him Lifesteal or Relentless, let's go Relentless, and then we have Raphael plus him in the team, they're probably going to clear this wave decent. We have Xeno controlling them with the stuns, the fears, the infests, spreading that kind of stuff. We have that triple hitter. We have the AoEs from Raph, help to clear that champion with the infest a little bit quicker. There we go. I mean, that's definitely going to speed it up, right? It's obvious. There's no questions about that. I don't know if I have Lifesteal on him or if I had Relentless. Either way, Lifesteal I think is solid on him because of this support damage type role that he's doing, but I went with Relentless this time, it seems. True Fear obviously has the downside of not always proccing. He is fully booked at this point, but if I was going to recommend somebody to book him or not, I would say hold your books. There are champions who need him a lot more than him. He has good effects in his kit in general without needing the books. Relentless, Lifesteal are both going to be popular, not obviously together, but Relentless set or Lifesteal set is going to be popular for a lot of players early game, mid game. I wouldn't give him your best nuker gear. Your best nuker gear should go on your champions who are also in your arena. So he's going to get more just that PvE type build anyways. For Clan Boss, he's going to be a champion who is thrown in there as an upgrade to your typical starter, your typical poisoners, even Frozen Banshee, all that kind of stuff. But he's not going to make the Clan Boss team. He's not that level, and I wouldn't expect him to be either because he is a free champion. Typical poison stuff. Let's go ahead and just check him out real quick. I will do what I said. Actually, let's do this. I don't know if my Wixwell's built, but we'll go Wixwell, Xenomorph, and then we'll go, oh man, Krisk, Not for sure if all these champs are built Androck, and then it's literally just Airbeus, because I think she's in a shield set. Now, if I do this, we got to go Xeno. I got to put him in something different besides Relentless. Extra turns, not good with this. But what you should see is him start to stack up a lot of poisons. Not too long into the clan boss fight, the clan boss should basically just be poisons. Except for Krisk. Krisk will keep the decreased defense up pretty well, I imagine, which is going to be good. The decreased defense and decreased attack, because he constantly applies whenever he was attacked. We have 3 poisons now. If you have the debuff extensions, it's just going to be loading up 6 poisons now. So you just got to make sure you're speed tuned in a way that you can keep those decreased defense and weakens and things like that applied. If I drop Krisk for a different, even Lydia possibly, if she's not going fast enough to get back around to replace those every time, it's just going to drop off and you're not going to be able to reapply it very easily because Xenomorph's just constantly applying all of his poisons. Now, of course, his poisons did drop off just then. We have 2 turn durations there, but there's sometimes going to be 3. Sometimes it's going to be a bit longer. It's just something to be mindful of and something to be aware of, especially considering his A2 and his A3 don't bring a whole lot to the team. So a lot of players may just turn those abilities off. But there we go. That's just a quick little example of what his team would do. If we ran this out all the way, it's going to do 1 key if it was actually speed tuned, which I don't think it actually is. Let's see. Is it speed tuned? It'll probably die pretty quickly. But it's Wixwell shenanigans, not anything to do with Xenomorph. Yeah, so 185 million, took 1,500 turns. He does 120 million damage. Doesn't really matter. You could throw in tons of champions in that spot and do fine. You could throw in probably just a common champion in 1 key with a Wixwell team. Doesn't really matter. But for Arena, just in case you are curious, he is going to do the single target damage. Now, the Infest is kind of cool in the Arena if you do get that placed. Decent test to show you all what the Infest can do on a champion with a lot more HP. So we're going to try to strip the Stone Skin. Get the Stone Skin off. Fantastic. We're going to boost some turn meters. Siegfried's going first here. I don't really care too much about that. We're going to kill him. And then we're going to try to place this. Now, granted, they are both weak affinity. I don't know who has the most HP. We kill him and hit him for 51,000. That's a pretty big hit, of course. So if you're able to drop those high HP champions, then you're doing a bit more damage. You're doing 100,000 there and then 50,000 to everybody else. And it shouldn't matter about defense and all that kind of stuff. It's just going to be pure damage, basically. But that case is good. Now, is that realistic? Not really. It's going to be difficult to set that up to happen very often, honestly. We're going to try to do this ability, 28,000. So we have some damage, but depending on where you're at in the game, potentially much better options, right? I think he's just going to go first and lock me out. Nope, not quite. He's going to switch forms with her, though, and reset all their cooldowns. Nice. So we'll boost turn meter here. Surprise, he didn't just die. So now we'll try to kill the Marichka. Kills her. Deals 32,000 damage to everybody, which I'm kind of surprised. It means he only had about 60,000 HP on the Marichka, which is not very much. And then we'll just go a 3. Boom, boom. And then here we go. So as far as the champion goes, he's a free champion with a soul, with a 5-star soul. He's going to be a great champion for progressional stuff. He could be solid in faction wars if you need help in wave control. And the Infest will do good against their max HP. But as far as poisons in Dark Elves, we have so many poisoners in Dark Elves, it's not needed. We have Noct, Zavia, Kale, Dark Kale, Mithrala, just so many poisoners here. So that's not really needed. But for early game, progression, faster wave clears, get into the bosses and doing really good damage with the poisons against the bosses, at least on the bosses that matters for. Ice Golem and Fire Knight's not going to matter. And the Infest, unfortunately, doesn't do much to the Spiderlings in Spider because they have such low HP to begin with. But he's going to be a solid champion. He's a champion who I would not recommend you rushing out to book, though, because the books aren't going to do that much extra for him, in my opinion, which is something to be mindful of. Let me think about how I can do this. Let's go here and then Mikey, possibly. But the books aren't going to be like completely game-changing. You're going to need extra damage on the champions who are going to be doing damage versus him, who's not really going to be doing that much damage per se. compared to some of the other options. Infested, 29,000. The damage you're getting from Spider, check this out. So the little Spiderlings dying, when they do, they deal 443,000 to the big Spider. So yeah, you technically squeeze a little bit more damage out, but having an AoE damage champion will do so much more to the big Spider than just infesting everything. And Hex is really just the dominant thing for Spider anyways. But you guys let me know what you think about Xenomorph. I think it's awesome they're doing free champions that are very valuable for early and mid-game players. I don't expect for them to be valuable and viable late game, but I just want to give you all my opinions, my take on the champion, my builds for him. While Savage plus Stone Skin could be cool, I would not invest that on him because you probably have much better options to put that on. Lifesteal, Relentless, Savage with just regular damage. Savage gear could be great. That's not a problem. I wouldn't use your A tier Savage gear. I would use much further down the line, most likely, and I would let him do more of the support role, basically, with a bit of damage on top. But I think support, speed, things like that, he shines. When you start trying to build him for damage, it just doesn't seem to do that much more. I mean, his attack multiplier is very low. Sorry, his base attack is very low, 1,300. That's pretty bad, honestly. It's the same as a Kimpton, who is a epic champion. Either way, guys, let me know what you all think about the video. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you all have a great rest of your Thanksgiving weekend, and I'll catch you all on the next one.